What is going on with you? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be reacting to the worst motorcycle deaths ever, celebrity edition. I've always wanted to get a motorcycle. I plan on actually getting my motorcycle license next year around my birthday, but if I do get something, I'm most likely get a dirt bike. But we'll see. Let's get into this video though.
Duane Allman. On October 29, 1971, the music world lost one of its most influential guitarists in a motorcycle accident that was as violent as it was preventable. Duane Allman, co-founder of the Allman Brothers Band, was only 24 years old, and at the height of his
24 years old
powers. His distinctive slide guitar technique had already influenced countless musicians and would continue to do so for decades to come. That afternoon, Allman was riding his Harley-Davidson Sportster through the streets of Macon, Georgia. The powerful motorcycle suited his personality. Fast, loud, and
Macon, Georgia? That was in the first Walking Dead game, if I'm not mistaken, right? I gotta finish that game.
Possible to ignore. At around 5:45 p.m., he approached an intersection on Hillcrest Avenue where a flatbed crane truck had suddenly stopped. Witnesses reported Allman was traveling at high speed when the truck halted unexpectedly. In the split second he had to react, Allman swerved to avoid a direct collision. He managed to avoid hitting the truck head-on, but clipped either the rear of the flatbed or the extending crane boom. Investigators never determined which with certainty. The impact was catastrophic. Allman was thrown violently from his motorcycle. His body. What happened next turned a serious accident into a fatal one. The Harley-Davidson, still moving at speed, flew over Allman's airborne body. As he hit the pavement, the heavy motorcycle crashed down directly on top of him. The weight of the machine combined with its momentum created a grinding trap of metal and asphalt. With Allman pinned beneath it, the motorcycle skidded for more than 90 feet.
Good Lord. That is a terrible way to go.
Along the road surface. The friction tore through his clothing and then his skin. Every foot of that slide caused additional damage to his internal organs. When the motorcycle finally stopped, Allman was still conscious but catastrophically injured. Emergency responders rushed him to Macon Medical Center, where doctors discovered the true extent of his injuries. His internal organs had been crushed and torn. Despite hours of surgery and multiple blood transfusions, the internal bleeding couldn't be stopped. Duane Allman died on the operating table that evening, damaged to survive. Barry Oakley. On November 11th, 1972, fate delivered a cruel echo of tragedy to the Allman Brothers Band. Almost exactly
Another one? Is that his brother?
1 year after Duane Allman's death, bassist Barry Oakley suffered an eerily similar accident just 3 blocks from where his bandmate had died.
That is crazy. Just 3 blocks away, so it's not his brother's bandmate. Okay.
The coincidence was so striking that many fans later called it cursed ground. Oakley was riding his motorcycle through the streets of Macon, Georgia, a city the band had adopted as home. The weather was clear that afternoon as Oakley navigated the familiar roads on his Triumph. At the intersection of Napier Avenue and Inverness Street, a city bus suddenly appeared in his no time to stop. His motorcycle slammed into the side of the bus with tremendous force. The impact launched him from the seat, sending his unprotected body through the air. Oakley's head struck the pavement with such violence that witnesses described hearing a distinct crack. The impact fractured his skull.
Oh my gosh. See, dirt bike, going on dirt trails, open. You don't gotta worry about anything.
The base, causing immediate trauma to his brain. Yet, in a bizarre turn that would ultimately seal his fate, Oakley stood up. He brushed himself off.
What? Nothing happened.
Insisted he was fine. Despite visible wounds and the urging of bystanders, he refused medical treatment. What Oakley couldn't know was that blood was already beginning to pool inside his skull. The pressure was building with each passing minute. He returned home,
I know he felt that too. I know he felt a slight pressure in his head. He probably just shook it off as a headache, but no, I would have went to the hospital. Got a full scan.
Just a headache from a minor accident. For 3 hours, the swelling inside his brain increased, pushing against vital structures that controlled his breathing and heartbeat. When he suddenly collapsed in his home later that evening, friends rushed him to the hospital. By then, his pupils were already fixed and dilated. Doctors performed emergency surgery to relieve the pressure, but
I've hit my head hard. To the point in the back of my head, I was like, yo, I could probably die tonight. I was good. I'm sure I did have a concussion.
The damage was too extensive. The bleeding had compressed critical areas of his brainstem recovery. Barry Oakley died at 7:40 that night, never regaining consciousness. Like Duane Allman, he was just 24 years old. The band had lost its second founding member in almost exactly the same way, on almost exactly the same streets. Brent Hinds. On January 17th, 2025, fans of heavy metal were devastated by news that Brent Hinds, the iconic guitarist and co-founder of Mastodon, had died following a motorcycle crash in Atlanta. Hinds was known for his distinctive playing style and
what is going on with Georgia?
helped established Mastodon as one of the most respected bands in modern metal. His love of motorcycles was nearly as well known as his guitar work. That evening, Hines was riding his customized Harley-Davidson through a residential area of Atlanta. The posted speed limit was 35 miles per hour, but according to police reports and traffic cameras, Hines was traveling between 63 and 68 miles per hour. The excessive speed would prove critical in the seconds that followed. At an intersection near Moreland Avenue, a black BMW SUV failed to yield while making a left turn. Hines had no time to brake effectively. His motorcycle collided with the passenger side of the SUV at full speed. The impact was catastrophic. The force threw Hines from his motorcycle, launching his 6-foot 3-inch frame through the air. Witnesses described him spinning multiple times before striking the ground. His helmet, which had not been properly secured, detached during the initial moments of the crash. When first responders arrived minutes later, they found Hines lying in the street with visible trauma to his head, arms, and torso. He was still breathing, still conscious enough to respond to voices, but
it's crazy because when you hit an animal and you could tell that it's not going to make it, what people do, they drag it off to the side of the road, and if they're carrying, these are human beings, though. I'm not sure where I was going with that one.
Bleeding heavily from multiple wounds. The paramedics worked quickly to stabilize him before transport, applying pressure to the worst of the bleeding while securing his neck in case of spinal damage. In the ambulance, Hines's condition deteriorated rapidly. His blood pressure dropped, and he began showing signs of internal bleeding. By the time he reached Grady Memorial Hospital, he was in full traumatic shock. Surgeons immediately took him to the operating room, finding massive damage to his liver and spleen, along with a severe brain hemorrhage. Despite transfusions and efforts to repair the damaged organs, the combination of blood loss and brain trauma was too severe. Brent Hines was pronounced dead at 11:40, approximately 4 hours after the crash, another creative force silenced by the unforgiving physics of motorcycle accidents. Daijiro Kato. On April 6, 2003, the world of MotoGP racing was forced to confront one of its most horrific accidents when Japanese rider Daijiro Kato crashed during the season-opening Japanese Grand Prix at Suzuka Circuit. Kato was a rising star in motorcycle racing, having won the 250cc World Championship before moving up to the Premier class. At just 26 years old, he represented 26? The future of Japanese racing on the world stage. That Sunday afternoon, under clear skies and perfect racing conditions, Kato was pushing his Honda RC211V to its limits. On the 4th lap of the race, he approached the notorious Casio Triangle chicane at approximately 200 kilometers per hour. For reasons never fully determined, Kato lost control of his motorcycle while traveling at full racing speed. The bike began to wobble violently, a phenomenon racers call a tank slapper. In less than a second, Kato was thrown from his machine. His body, protected only by racing leathers and a helmet, became a projectile. He first struck a tire barrier positioned along the track edge, but the impact sent him toward a critical gap in the safety system. Between the tire barrier and the following foam barrier, there existed a space that track safety officials had overlooked. It was this gap that proved fatal. Kato's head and neck struck the exposed sharp edge of the foam barrier at tremendous speed. He was thrown back onto the active racing surface. He lay unconscious in the racing line as other riders swerved to avoid him. Track marshals rushed to his aid, signaling frantically for the race to be stopped. When medical staff reached him, they found Kato was still breathing, but unresponsive. His pupils were fixed and dilated, indicating catastrophic brain damage. A helicopter was immediately dispatched to transport him to Yokkaichi Hospital. For 2 weeks, Kato remained in a deep coma, connected to life support while doctors monitored the severe trauma to his brain, neck, and chest. Despite their efforts, Daijiro Kato was pronounced dead on April 20th, 2003, without ever regaining consciousness.
Wow.
Dar Allen Robinson. On November 21st, 1986, the film industry lost its most accomplished stuntman when Dar Robinson died during what was supposed to be a routine motorcycle scene.
Hold on, wait. Where's he at?
Without ever regaining consciousness. Dar Allen Robinson. On November 21st, 1986, the film industry lost its most accomplished stuntman when Dar Robinson died during what was supposed to be a routine motorcycle scene in the Arizona desert. Robinson wasn't just any stuntman. He held 21 world records and had performed the most dangerous stunts in Hollywood history, including a free fall from the CN Tower in Toronto. He was known as the man who could survive anything until he couldn't. That afternoon, Robinson was filming a simple chase sequence for the movie $1 Million Mystery near Page, Arizona. The scene required him to ride a motorcycle.
That's where I want to move to. Like Arizona, Texas. Like that's where I'd be able to ride a dirt bike. I need to know what happened to him out here.
Moderate speed across the desert terrain, far less dangerous than his usual stunts involving high falls or car crashes. He was traveling at approximately 40 miles per hour on a dirt bike when something went terribly wrong. Witnesses on set saw Robinson lose control of the motorcycle as he approached a gentle curve. Instead of navigating the turn, the bike continued straight, taking him directly toward a metal guardrail at the edge of an embankment. He struck the guardrail at full speed. The impact launched him over the barrier and down a steep 40-foot drop. The fall alone would have caused serious injuries, but what waited below made survival impossible. Robinson's body struck a rock ledge partway down, breaking multiple bones on impact. As he tumbled further down the embankment, a sagebrush limb with a sharp broken end penetrated his body cavity. The woody stem, hardened by desert conditions, effectively impaled him, causing immediate and catastrophic internal damage. When crew members reached him moments later, Robinson was still conscious, but in extreme distress. Blood poured from multiple wounds, and his breathing was already labored from a punctured lung. The remote location meant emergency medical services would take critical time to arrive. A helicopter was dispatched to the scene, but Robinson's condition deteriorated rapidly. By the time medical personnel could stabilize him for transport, the internal bleeding had become his organs, damaged beyond repair by the impact and impalement, began to fail sequentially. Dar Robinson died at the scene before the helicopter could even lift off. A man who had conquered the most extreme stunts in film history, killed by what everyone had considered a simple motorcycle.
Why the last one have to be a dirt bike though? And y'all let me know down in the comment section down below. I also want to know if you guys have a dirt bike or if you guys ride motorcycles, and let me know your thoughts and opinions. What are the reasons of why you continue to ride, knowing the consequences that can unfold? God forbid any accidents happen, but this is the risk that you're taking riding these vehicles. Appreciate you tuning into the video. Much love. I greatly appreciate your support. But until next time, remember, every day you have a choice. Choose growth. It's ATM and I'm signing out.